Hello, everyone, and welcome to our GetApp LinkedIn Live. My name is Thibaut de Lataillade. I'm the general manager at GetApp. For those who don't know, GetApp helps business like yours discover and compare great software. So this is our last LinkedIn Live before the end of the year, and today we'll be reflecting back at 2021 and also discussing SMB trends to keep an eye on it for 2022. Joining me today are Laurie McCabe, SMB expert and SMB group co-founder. Hi, Laurie.
Hi, how are you, Thibaut?
I'm great, thank you. We have also Ivana Taylor. Ivana is a marketing expert and publisher of DIYmarketers.com. Hi, Ivana.
Hi, Thibaut. Hi, Laurie. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Ivana. And John Lawson. John is an expert e-commerce and CEO at ColderIce Media. Hi, John.
What's up?
Everything's good. I'm so happy to have you all three back here today. And before we get started, I wanted to encourage everyone to submit questions, comments in the comment box, and we'll try to answer them as we go. And starting that conversation, I'd like to reflect back on this year. So let me ask you this question. So what has been the biggest learning small business should consider going into next year? Laurie, can we start with you?
Yeah, sure. I think really what we've learned is that the whole way we define the physical workplace and workplace culture and how we work styles, they've really all been changing. I mean, obviously this was from the start of pandemic on, and we've realized a lot of these changes are here to stay. So that's one big thing. And then the other thing we really see in our research is that Fortune favors those companies that invest in digital transformation, that automate their businesses with technology and streamline all those processes and things that are low value and repetitive that just take up a lot of time. You know, we saw that the companies investing in digital transformation were more than 3 times more likely than those with nothing underway to be experience revenue increases in 2021 over 2020. And on the flip side, though, we see a lot of small businesses are not yet using software in a lot of areas. So a GetApp survey found that people are only about 43% of small businesses are using sales, marketing, and customer service software. So you know, there's definitely kind of a gap between the technology haves and the technology have-nots. And you know, I think a lot of companies need to realize that today, even the tiniest business can take advantage of cloud applications to take the friction out of these kind of routine and low value tasks, whether it's email marketing, pipeline management, payment processing, document management, whatever. You know, you want to focus your employees' time on the things you need to do to grow the business. And having these solutions in place also gives you the ability to pivot. You know, you may need to, as we saw in the pandemic, enter a new market or create a new product or service. The other thing is that we've seen vendors really beef up their solutions with artificial intelligence and machine learning. And those provide this kind of like power boost to a lot of solutions. And they even give them potentially more value to you. So I think it's really important for small businesses that may have been putting off automating in some of these areas. We've learned that you don't want to wait because you'll kind of get left behind on some levels.
All right. Thanks, Laurie. Indeed, we saw a lot of acceleration in the digital transformation of many companies, but there's still a lot to do.
Yeah.
Ivana, what do you think were the biggest learnings for SMBs this year? And have you seen any small business doing anything particularly innovative or disruptive?
Absolutely. I don't know. I wouldn't call it disruptive to the industry or the universe as a whole, but I'm going to call it disruptive to them. I want to jump off a point that Laurie made about their use of technology. This GetApp survey that GetApp did that talked about 43%, only 43% using marketing automation. I'm going to tell you that this, my impression is that this is even an improvement over the way it was a few years ago. For example, I think about, I don't know, 5-8 years ago, only something like 60% of small businesses even had a website. That number is now down into the 30%, which is still kind of high when you think about it, right? So I'm going to jump off this point where I believe that the pandemic and what we've lived through in 2020 and 2021 has really taken small businesses out of their mindset of doing what works. So my audience is notorious for putting these marketing automations and software conversations on the back burner. So, but now with what they've been pushed into, they've really taken on, once you jump into something, you're more likely to move faster the next time around. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing faster adoption, willingness to play and learn with software. The other thing I'm noticing is that my entrepreneur market is ready for disruption. Disruptions used to happen every 8 years, 5 years. Now they're like, you know what? This could be like an every year, every other year kind of thing. And they are preparing for that. And one of the ways they're preparing for that is by creating slush funds. And what I mean by slush funds is they've taken a fresh new look at their pricing when they look about what they're offering. And they're offering more things online. And John's going to talk about how they've pivoted to e-commerce. But they're taking what their expertise is and converting it online with the help of online tools. And again, they're also pricing much better so that they're able to kind of trim some profit and guarantee profit and save it for, Lord forbid, the next disruption. The other thing that I think is really kind of interesting as a trend is I've seen a lot of my entrepreneurs put that CFO hat on. So instead of just counting on their business to generate revenue and to generate that security, they are investing. I have an audience that is investing actively in crypto. They are looking at other ways of what other way can I get cash flow into my business. So they're investing in their intellectual property, but they're also pivoting into some other areas that are really, really creative. So I talked a little bit about multiplying their revenue stream. So if they're selling a product, they're actually looking at possibly even adding a service onto that. If they've been providing services or maybe teaching, they're looking at creating products and programs based on what they already have, that their new skills in online have taught them. And finally, the other thing I'm seeing is where they really struggled with the trend of, there used to be a trend of what we call best in class. So you might use one tool for email automation, you might use another tool for your webinars, and a third tool for your website and landing pages. That's way too much technology for them. So I'm seeing a trend of consolidation. They're looking for a single platform, and they're willing to make the trade-offs to use a single centralized platform to run their whole business. And I would say, you asked about a specific example. I have an attorney client that might have talked about before that has really leveraged this face-to-face business and gone to tools like maybe like a Ruby receptionist, like Zoom meetings, like a DocuSign. So they're able to streamline what used to be done in person to completely where most of the team is working from home right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for these insights, Ivana. And John, what has been happening in e-commerce? I mean, we've seen some serious supply chain challenges. I mean, especially now during the holiday season. Is that going to continue? And what can small business learn from that for next year? I think you're on mute, John.
Okay.
Better. Thank
this
you.
Technology. So the deal is, yes, the supply chain issues are going to continue. well into 2022. Absolutely. There's so much backup right now. It's unbelievable. I just had a friend flying over to land in LAX, and as they were coming in, he looked out over the water and you could see like 80 ships ready to unload, waiting to unload. And I mean, literally before, there would never be any ships out there. So that just goes to show you how bad the backup is. But the thing is, because I want to get into this a little bit, the problem with the retail supply chain isn't really about the consumer demand, but it's about getting the products to consumers' door. And the deal is that last mile logistics has always been a hard thing for small retailers. And UPS found that nearly 80% of retailers were struggling with that last mile delivery. So that was before the pandemic. Now we have this massive backup. And if you remember this old movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, we've got ships, trains, and trucks. They've all kind of ground to a halt. And the only way to solve this issue is with patience. It's going to be there for a time. And what actually happened is that we saw this stoppage, and it was such a slowdown, right? Because it stopped. And then when people, small businesses and businesses realized, hey, this lockdown could actually stop our supply chain, they ended up ordering more just to be able to backfill and make sure that they had stuff on shelves in case there was another slowdown, which exacerbated the issue. So retailers over-ordered. There's more ships trying to come in. And if the ship doesn't unload, there's no ship to send back empty to pick up more stuff. And it's a total cluster, you know what, that's going on right now. And it's going to take a little bit. But, you know, you're going to see some out of stock stuff. But most of the major retailers are saying, you know, we've got plenty of inventory in stock. Small and medium businesses, I think, are filling their shelves and some of the gaps with different product or new product. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how this goes, but absolutely, supply chain issues will last through 2022.
All right. Well, this is not encouraging, but that's the situation.
Hey, so, man, I'm here. Yeah. Look, I'm like the doctor. You don't want to hear everything's good if everything ain't good. So you can make adjustments. It's just about making adjustments.
Absolutely. So, okay, so we've learned that, I mean, from Ivana, that's entrepreneurs have to learn and be more savvy on the finance part, and learning about a lot of also using cryptocurrencies and managing their finance even better than ever. From you, that they have to also to become experts in logistics and master entirely the supply chain. So next question will be again for you, Ivana, on the automation. So what are the trends that you foresee, and what will entrepreneurs have to learn about automation next year?
Well, on top of being IT professionals and logistics professionals, they also have to become psychologists and learn how people think. So when it comes to automation, it's not about the machinery or the tools per se. It's applying those tools in such a way that's going to have you feel like a human being, right? And I think a lot of entrepreneurs have been clunky with their tools, you know, sending generic messages. You know, right before the pandemic, the biggest trend going was personalization. And I think Laurie mentioned that a little bit earlier. This idea of using technology and AI to personalize that experience. But in order to personalize that experience, they are going to have to do some thinking first. You've really got to map out your customer journey. What is the process that your customers take to find you? And then using those appropriate tools to make sure that you connect with them in a way that isn't clunky or too automated. You know, you can get a lot of people jump on board with these chat bots, but you know, just because someone says you should use a chat bot doesn't mean you should. It's always good to start. And I learned this a million years ago. First, do it on paper, then do it in real life, and then start converting slowly to technology. One of the things that my entrepreneur base is doing, I put this question out to my community and I saw something really interesting. One of my community members is an insurance company out in Washington State. And so that is a local business. But one of the things that they are doing is that they are getting their customers through your regular local marketing channels. It could be networking, it could be referrals, your standard local kind of marketing, maybe some direct marketing. But what they're doing then is building these personal relationships with them on social media. And I thought that was really interesting. So they are kind of pulling them in, but then they're nurturing those leads in order to build this referral cycle. The other thing they're doing is automating these sales and marketing funnels. So they're able to pull people in, a lot of smart CRM tools. Once you get that name in there, it goes out and finds everything you need to know about that person. It can even track every single communication you've had with them, whether it's on social media or whether, it's on email. So that's really terrific. Content marketing, still important, regardless of whether you're selling direct through a direct sales way, maybe meetings, face-to-face, Zoom, whatever. Content marketing is still important. I learned an important lesson that everything is content marketing. And I'm seeing my audience take a fresh look at their websites, making sure that they have contact information, making sure that their Google My Business is updated. These are little things that they can do. I'm also seeing them do a more strategic focus. They got to think strategically. Maybe in the past, it was okay to try a bunch of different ideas. But as we all know, revenue was scarce in 2021. People got disrupted. They weren't able, they realized how important it was to save their money. So what they're doing is taking a more strategic look, looking to see, how am I getting my best customers? And then focusing on that. If it's referrals, we're going to invest in those tools. If it's content, they're going to invest in those tools. And sometimes it's even advertising, and that they're investing in resources to help them do that. So everywhere you look at it, I would say to wind this whole thing up, in addition to being technical experts and logistics experts, they've got to know their customer and think about how their customer thinks. So now they got to be psychologists too.
Great. I mean, there is a question that that came through the chat on LinkedIn. You almost covered everything, I guess, here. But the question is for you, Ivana. How are businesses prioritizing areas to automate? And
what a great question. What a terrific question. The way they're doing it now is they've had the time with the lockdown. They've had the time to see, where are my customers coming from? What is the best way to reach them? And so that's how they're prioritizing. And, for some people, social media fell to the wayside, and they've put a new focus on their customer lists and finding ways to reach their customers online. One of our local restaurants did a masterful job at that. They realized that they were collecting these emails from their customers, and I don't think I'd ever received anything from them until the shutdown. And then it was every single day, this is our special family meals. And I think that as soon as you recognize where's your money coming from, that's going to be the first thing that you want to automate and optimize.
All right. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Ivana. So coming back to you, John, in a recent survey, GetApp found that customers are expecting to use their mobile wallets. I'm doing it every day. And 92% of retailers have either implemented that technology or are planning to do so. So what impact do you think this will have on small businesses, and how can they get prepared for that?
Well, guess who's on my patio? It's my leaf blowing guy. So if you hear that in the background, that's what that is. All right. He'll be out in a second. All right. But here's the deal. Buy now, pay later. Right? First, let me just say this. If I find it interesting, it says 92% of businesses have digital, right? But I'm in e-commerce, so 100% of my people have, digital wallets. You have to. That's the only way you're going to do e-commerce. But I'm going to kind of speak to some of the hybrids that have brick and mortar and maybe some sort of digital presence. one of the things that you want to be looking at is the alphabet soup that you might see, BNPL, which is buy now, pay later. And what buy now, pay later is, and you're talking about what are some of the things that you can use to implement that. There's a couple of them that come to mind, like Sizzle, Klarna, Affirm, Afterpay. Those are some of the fintech e-commerce players that are offering payment plans to customers, right? So what that is doing and why this is a boom is that customers are now changing the way that they shop because they can buy something now, pay for it later. And you think sort of it's a hybrid between people that have good credit and people that need to put things on layaway. So like everybody, especially the younger, the digitals, people coming in, starting to build credit, don't have the credit to be able to purchase larger carts worth of items. So what they're able to do with these solutions is they're able to buy like up to $1,200 worth of things without having to be, quote, credit worthy. And they get the stuff now, and then they make payments over time. You, as the vendor or the retailer, get paid in full, and they make payments through these other solution providers. It's actually helping small businesses acquire more customers and expand that brand reach. And the other thing, if you have a retail location, of course, is BOPIS. And you've probably seen that out there for alphabet soup, right? BOPIS, that's buy online, pick up in store. It's one of the most popular online retailing trends, even prior to 2022 or 2020. But I mean, it really expanded over the time during actual lockdowns. And people got a taste of it, and they're not going back. Matter of fact, e-commerce grew 10 years in 1 year in terms of its take rate over retail. Just think about that. A 10-year growth basically in a 6-month period, but over the entire year, and they're not giving any of that back. So buy online, pick up in store is allowing brick and mortar retailers to get their customers to select their items online and then come into the store, which a lot of them prefer to do just to simply pick up. And that's appealing for the retailer too, as it looks like buy online, pick up in store items are about 10% higher cart value than it is for just straight up online purchasing. So I think it's a win-win if you are looking at ways to put fintech into your business. Check out some of these providers for buy online, pick up in store, and buy now, pay later.
All right. Thanks, John. Laurie, I have a question for you, but I've also, a comment coming and a question coming from the chat. And I think both are, you can answer probably both at the same time. So the question from the chat is, what marketing skills do you think will be the most valuable for small business owners in the next years? And the question that I had was about the article you wrote about customer service being the new marketing. So can you tell us a bit more about what you mean and try to also maybe answer that question at the same time?
Sure. Well, I'll try. Maybe I'll knock them off a little bit individually though, too. So,
Okay.
in terms of marketing skills, obviously the technology is changing like rapidly, and there's more and more we can use in terms of, things to help us with marketing. And Ivana and John have covered a lot of them. But I think the biggest skills you want to have are listening skills and curiosity, right? It's so tempting to think what you're doing at any time is good enough. You really have to figure out, how am I going to really hone in on what the customers and the prospects are saying, what they want, what they're not happy with. And this includes both what they're saying to you is also more of an industry-wide kind of thing where you can get perspective. The tools support you. They help you to do that, right? Tools that help you listen and engage and do all those things. And I would say that, for a lot of businesses, all of this is overwhelming. You cannot do all of it yourself. Just like you may hire an accountant, You may decide I'm going to have an agency help me with the marketing, and that's fine. You're still going to use a tool to help you, like HubSpot, let's say, or, Keep. It really doesn't matter. You want to have something, the agency that should be using something you want to use. But let's face it, we can't all wear every hat all the time, and you have to know the areas you want help in. So that would be another skill. But to get back to the customer service thing, yeah, I mean, it's king because, first of all, if you provide great customer service, people share that. I had a great experience, they really helped me. And if you don't, people are going to share that too. These guys really suck. They didn't get back to me. I got forwarded around like 24 times. I was on hold for 3 hours. So you really have to make sure that you're providing great customer service. And we're in the shopping frenzy now, but believe me, this is going to hit home right after Christmas when the returns start and the things that don't work start and all those other things. You can't just sell, you have to follow up in the service department. And I think, today we know from our research, a lot of SMBs are still providing most of their service over the phone, and that's fine. Some people want to get it that way, but customers have all different ways they want to get service, right? And they want digital customer service solutions, especially to handle easy to solve kinds of inquiries, right? So you need support for that, with messaging apps, social media, chat bots, knowledge bases. I'm not saying you have to use all of these, but you have to look at how your customers want to receive support, solicit support, self-service kinds of ways, and just provide them with different ways that they can get those responses handled. And then you want to use customer service solutions to help you, again, streamline and automate. So for instance, you can automatically route support tickets based on priority and importance, or you can use customer service to create, as a priority tickets and then assign priority tiers based on how quickly you need to resolve an inquiry. And that may be the severity of the inquiry, the potential irateness of that particular customer, whatever. But you want to make sure that you are, first of all, solving their problems, and second of all, solving them in a more streamlined way and in the way they want to be serviced. And that really, at the end of the day, that's what customers want. We can buy products almost anywhere. The good service is what's going to keep us coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. So customer service is king. So, I mean, thank you everyone for that conversation. It was really interesting. And I want to finish with a question for you all. And I will start with Ivana. Is there one piece of advice that you will give to small, mid-sized businesses of what they should do?
I'm going to give the one piece of advice that applies to everything. And the first one is focus. Always focus. And what you're going to end up, but you're like, focus on what? I'm going to tell you. I have a client that runs the 80-20 rule on everything. So you want to focus on the 20% of your customers that are generating 80% of your revenue. And you want to make sure you understand where they're coming from and how you can connect with them more. Here's another focus. Focus first on your customer and what problems they have, what needs they have. Start with that. Empathize. You ask what skills they need. I would say they need empathy skills. So you need to understand your customer. You need to be able to intuit. One of my friends, David Newman, said, think about what's on their desk. And what is it that they're worried about at this moment? So you're going to need to focus on that. And also focus on a single strategy. So you're going to know, are you working on content? Are you working on direct marketing and selling? Or are you going to invest your time and money in advertising? So if there's anything you're going to do, focus, think first, and then start implementing little by little.
Okay, that's great. Laurie?
Yeah, I guess my tagline would be easy does it. So whatever you decided your priority, and it may be sales and marketing, but it may be something for employees like to improve collaboration, whatever. But do your homework and make sure that you pick a solution that's easy to use. If it's not easy to use, you and your team are not going to use it. And you need something easy so that you can get productive quickly. Again, because if you don't, especially in a small business, there's so many distractions during the day. People will just turn off of it and they'll go back to the old way and resist. So get everybody, you may be just a solopreneur, but if you've got a few people, make sure everybody gets a chance to kind of kick the tires and see if there's any big gotchas that are going to really derail this thing. And I would also say you want to look for a solution where you can start small. You don't want to bite off more you can chew at any one time. You want to get that stuff you really need, like Ivana said, but one that you can give you more functionality as you need it and you're ready to use it. So, you may feel like your big dire need is to upgrade marketing today because you've got to bring in more revenue. But you may need, like I said, to me, customer service is so important. So look for something where you can snap that customer service in and it'll work with the marketing. You'll get the good view of the customer throughout all these interactions. And you won't have to hassle with third-party integration tools. So, look for something that provides you with, more than just a point solution.
Okay, thanks a lot. John, one piece of advice to SMBs?
Okay, one piece of advice is no matter what. I'm sorry.
You can give two.
Okay, I'll give you one. But I mean, no matter what business you're in, you have simple 3-step process to make money. I mean, that's what we're in business for, is to make money. If you're not in business for that, then you're running a charity, which is great too. Yeah. But for those of us running a business, there's just 3 main components. And it's the 3 C's that are easy to remember: capture, convert, and close. So out of all the things that you might take away from this conversation, one of the big line, the thread that was running through everybody's comments was about automation, really. And if you're going to put automation in place, then make sure it's addressing one of those 3 areas. How do I use some automation to capture more leads? How do I use automation to convert leads into buyers? And then once we got them on the hook to buy, how do we capture them, or how do we get them to close, right? And of course, wash, rinse, and repeat. If you take the time to literally look at all of the elements in those small, framework, and such a small framework, capturing people is your blogging, your content marketing, your social media presence. Converting people is that email, doing retargeting and nurturing customers into, once they are aware of your products, into actually purchasing them. And then of course, closing, it's all about conversion rates, your call to actions, and then, of course, after closing, how you put the message out there so that people can become advocates for your brand. If you just do those things, you won't have to be worried about the tech so much. You are just trying to automate the things that are already working in your business.
That's a great advice. So thanks a lot. I mean, to the 3 of you, to Ivana, Laurie, John, for today, and thanks a lot as well to our audience. We get a lot of messages and comments on everything you said, and I think everyone agrees with now your piece of advice, and so that's great. So I mean, to summarize what we said, what you said, I mean, in 2022, so e-commerce businesses will thrive first. Remote work will continue, with gig workers making up a large part of workforce. Customer service is the new marketing. automation of day-to-day operations will be key to provide personalized customer experience. So that's it for today. I'd be happy to follow up with you on LinkedIn for any additional questions or comments. And don't forget to follow GetApp on LinkedIn to find out about future events and insights. So see you next year. And bye-bye, John. Bye, Ivana and Laurie.